Hey guys, this is a quick video tutorial on how to use your P16. This is what we use here at Emmaus whenever you are setting up your in-ear mix. So I'm just going to be a quick overview. These are a couple things that you want to check right off the bat. Number one, you'll notice how all these have little red lights on them. So you want to select, the red light means that a channel is selected. So if I press vocal 1, that's selected, vocal 2, selected, so on and so forth. Now each of these black buttons also has another light. You'll notice this light over here flashing. That means that it is receiving an input to a signal. So for instance, right now I have a microphone and it is on vocal 1 when I talk into it. Check, 1, 2, hello. You notice the green light flashing, that means there's a signal coming to it. This is the room mics, so they just pick up ambient noise, so there's a signal going to it. Alright, real quick, two things you want to check. Very first thing, always double check that this limiter knob is turned far to the right. If it is even a little bit to the left, it is going to affect your signal. Whenever it reaches a certain volume, it'll sound like everything has cut out on you. So always make sure that's turned as hard right as you can possibly get it. Second thing you always want to check before you do anything else is this button right here that says main. Click it, select it, and then make sure it's red, and then make sure this knob here is turned to full volume. Notice if I turn it left, the LEDs get less and less. That means it's lower volume. You want to make sure it's full volume. Otherwise your signal will be very quiet and you'll be asking me, I can't hear myself, why is my signal so quiet? It's because this is not full volume. Okay. So once you have that at full volume and you've made sure that your limiter is all the way to the right, this is your master output volume. For those of you who are going to be using wireless in-ear packs, I strongly recommend that you don't turn this any higher than halfway, and if you need more volume, control it from your wireless pack. Turn the volume up on that. If you're just plugging directly into this and you don't have a wireless pack, just adjust that wherever is necessary. Alright, so we have our channels labeled along here. Vocal 1, vocal 2, vocal 3, vocal 4, instrument 1, 2, 3, 4, keys, which is a stereo channel, and you notice the keys when I select either or, they both light up because they're stereo. Bass, percussion, drums, which is also a stereo channel, so you notice if I select those, they both light up. Your room, which your room is going to be your ambience, and a click track, if we're using it on any particular song where we have click. So here's basically what I do when I come in and set up for myself. There is, first I go to, say I'm in vocal channel 1, so I will set my volume to wherever is about necessary. I try to start at around halfway, check my volume, see if it's loud enough. If it's not loud enough, like I said, if you need more overall volume, if you're using wireless pack, don't boost this past halfway. If you need overall, you can go ahead and boost it there. But set your volume, set the other singers, and I'll every evening, Thursday night when we have rehearsal, I will tell everyone what channel they are in so you'll know what channel you're in. So instruments, so let's say we've got, I'm on vocal 1 and I've got a singer on vocal 2. I will pan them, this is your pan button here, you'll notice there's a little green LED. I will pan them slightly to the left so that their vocal isn't sitting right with my vocal. It helps separate it with my in-ears. I will put vocal 3 slightly to the right, so that way I have a stereo mix of vocals. If I have a vocal 4, I may move it all the way over to the far right or possibly far left, depending. Sometimes we only have 3 vocals though, so I'll just leave that centered. Then I'll go on to instruments and I'll do so on and so forth. And make sure you use your panning because it really helps a lot whenever you want to be able to hear the separation. Room, one thing you want to make sure with room, if you have the room any higher than 2, maybe 3 dots, it's going to sound really echoey just because we're in a gym and this room picks up a lot of echo. So you probably don't want to use your room mic very much. Keep it pretty low. You don't need a lot of that in there. One little trick that I'd like to show you, that's pretty much everything you need to know. But one more thing I'd like to show you is this is your equalizer. It can change the frequency of any individual channel. So say I have my vocal in channel 1 and I have my volume about as loud as, say I even have it maxed out, and I still just cannot hear myself. Well, you could either go and bring all the volumes of every other channel down a little bit so that that volume will be a little bit louder, or a nice little trick, and this is specifically for vocals, is if you take, you notice, I don't know if you can see in the lighting here, let me see if I can move it so the light shines on it properly. Anyway, this is going to be your bass, your middle, this is the frequency of the middle, and your treble. So with vocals, they really sit in the upper mid-range. So what really helps is if you move this to about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock-ish, somewhere in there, and then boost that middle frequency. Sometimes I will even boost it all the way. That will really help the vocal stand out of the rest of the mix without over cranking the volume. You could even probably keep the volume back a little bit and still hear the vocal much clearer. Another thing you want to do with vocals, because this is the bass frequency, which is about 100 hertz, which just means it's really low. You're not going to sing that low, so you can turn that all the way down, and that'll just help clear up the mix. So I will always, when I set up my channel, on every vocal channel, I will be sure to set the EQ like this. Now, you notice that all the little red rings around the EQ are bright red. Now, watch them when I select this next vocal channel. You notice they are not bright red, except for the treble, because I didn't touch that. That means these are not pointing to where the EQ is set for that channel that I've selected. So what you want to do is turn it until they turn bright red. Oh, now it means it's active, so you can turn the bass down. Oh, there you go, bright red. Bright red, so now you can adjust it to the EQ. So now that EQ is going to be saved for that channel. So then I go to the next channel. Oh, you notice they're not bright red again. So I will, oh, there we go, bright red. Oh, bright red. I don't know if you see it, there you go. Now they're bright red, so then I'll adjust the EQ and the bass down for that vocal channel. Now it's saved in those vocal channels. So just a little trick to help you be able to hear your vocals properly. Also remember, panning will help you a lot whenever you are trying to hear everything. If you have it all just down the middle of your in-ears, then it'll get really mushy and kind of just non-distinct. If you use your panning very carefully, you'll be able to hear everything. So if you're playing an instrument, I recommend leave your instrument in the center and turn all the other instruments slightly left and slightly right. You can either do slightly left or full left and right. It depends on how much separation you want based off your instruments. All right, 2 more things and then we will be done with this little tutorial. Now, say we've had rehearsal Thursday night and you're like, oh, I really like my settings. I got everything sounding really nice. I want that to sound like that on Sunday morning. Here's how to save all your settings. You notice right up here you have 2 buttons. One says Store, one says Recall. So to store your settings for Sunday morning, you click and hold on the Store button, and you notice as I've clicked on Store on that, then I'm still holding my finger on there, and then I'll pick a channel. It really doesn't matter which one as long as you remember which one it is. So for tonight, I'm just going to pick channel 10 because it's easy to remember. I'll select it once. Notice now it's flashing. That means it's been selected. I'm still holding the Store button. Then I'll come over here and I'll hit it again, and now that means it's confirmed. So now on Sunday morning, whenever I come up to the unit that I was using and I want to make sure that all my settings are going to be the same, I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to use the Recall button. Press Recall. Now this is flashing saying channel 10 was the last channel that was saved, so all the settings should be the same, but just for kicks and giggles, let's say channel 12 was the last one saved. So I hit Recall. Oh, channel 12 was used. That's not where I saved my settings. I saved all my settings on channel 10. So I'm still holding Recall. I press it and press it again. Now all my settings are saved or are reloaded exactly the way they were, the way I saved them. So that's the basics. Main thing, make sure your limiter is all the way to the right, and make sure your main volume is all the way up. Okay, I hope that helps.